Hi everyone. I recently had a vacation for a week and I managed to do a lot, especially for my little business. So I decided to make this video about week in my life as a content creator and creative person. And of course, every day starts with breakfast. I love breakfast food, I can eat it for lunch and dinner too, and sometimes I really do. And I decided to share one of my favorite breakfast recipes with you, shakshuka. For this one, chop half an onion and a couple of garlic cloves, throw them into a pan on slightly above medium heat. While they're cooking, chop a bell pepper and a couple of tomatoes. Once the onions start turning golden, add the pepper and lower the heat to medium. After about 4 minutes, add the tomatoes and spices. I use salt, pepper and khmele sunele. Lower the heat again and let it simmer for about 8 minutes. While that's happening, chop some herbs. I use dill and I love eating this with bread. Today it's ciabatta. Then make a couple of wells in the mixture, crack the eggs in it and raise the heat to medium again. Cover with a lid and wait until the eggs are done. For 2 people I use 5 eggs, so it's 2.5 per person. And don't forget to add dill. Such a simple, tasty breakfast, I'm obsessed with it. After breakfast I move on to clay. I already had my pieces sculpted and sanded, and all I had to do was paint them and cover with UV resin. Painting alone took me about 5 hours. My back suffers a lot from all this sitting. I do like working with clay, but it takes so much time and energy that after this batch I decided to put it aside for now. While I'm working full time, I just don't have the resources for it, and when something stops bringing joy, what's the point? I left the UV resin for the next day because my back was done. Here is everything I painted in one day. I also work out with Hello Ting 6 days a week. I consider it essential with how much I see it. After the workout, I finally took a break and played some games with friends. My cat Simba missed me and came to sit with me. I actually have two cats, Simba and Kowo. If you have watched The Lion King, you should know where the names are from. Everyone knows Simba, but nobody remembers Kowo somehow. Later in this evening I edited some videos, one of them is already up on my channel, and before bed my fiancé and I watched Stranger Things. We are watching everything from the beginning before the new season. And that was it for the first day. I picked up my package in the morning. It had some package materials, a pencil case to finally keep everything in one place, and epoxy stickers of different shapes and sizes for my 3D stickers. Round ones, square ones, more round, and also heart-shaped ones, and these tiny piercings for clay pieces. Then I started covering my clay pieces with UV resin. This is my least favorite part because this is exactly where I usually ruin everything. Since I barely have any time, I rush, and rushing means mistakes. That's another reason why I'm putting clay aside for now. When I'm not working full time anymore and have more time, I'll be able to do this slowly and neatly. But for now, trying to finish quicker meant that some pieces went straight into the trash and the rest turned out very questionable. I even built little constructions like this to fit more pieces under the lamp. After resign, I added all the hardware to the finished pieces. And here's how many pieces made it to the end. I'm obsessed with the War Stones with my mascot, and these charms with my mascot too. I'm definitely making more of those for my small business. From Foscals, only one survived, but I love him. He has a War Stone eyes and some other little things. Some more charms, they turned out cute too. My back was dying again, but I still had some things to do, so I continued editing my video. Then we watched Stranger Things again before bed, and that was the whole day. The third day started with me finishing the edit of my first long video, and finally I could start working on my stickers. Right before my vacation, I bought a cutting machine, and it was very hard to find out how it works, so I spent around 20 hours before I can make something successfully. I started with making backgrounds for all my sticker packs, and there are already quite a few. So I made 6 backgrounds, and here they all are. Then I transferred everything into the cutter software, added cut lines, adjusted cutting force, etc. It is super long and boring process, but I organized everything into folders. I didn't know yet that all this work was basically for nothing. I would only realize it after printing, the colors turned out too dark and dull, and then I would have to spend hours fixing everything. But that was a problem for future me, and at this point I was happily organizing everything, not suspecting anything. This took me entire day. So as usual, we ended the evening watching Stranger Things. On this day, I prepared everything for my 3D stickers. I was so excited to finally make them. I put all suitable designs on one sheet, set up the contours, cutting force, etc., and started printing. Here's what I printed, way too dark. But I still didn't notice it and put it into the cutter anyway. It cut beautifully, which made me so happy. Now I just had to attach the epoxy stickers. Aligning them perfectly is hard, so in the future I'll probably stick the epoxy first and then hand cut around it. It feels more accurate. I made a few 3D stickers, then stopped because I realized that the colors were totally wrong and I have to fix them. But I still put a big 3D sticker on my phone, and after a month it still looks perfect. I love that. After this batch, I went back on my computer to fix colors and outlines, and it was really exhausting. It took me a lot of hours because I had a lot of stickers already, and I had to change colors and outlines for each of them, resave them, re-upload them on cutting machine software, print them, and make sure it looks okay. So it was very time consuming. I didn't have the energy to print stickers again, but I decided to compare paper quality. I bought original Epson paper and another cheaper one from Kaspi. The price difference is insane. One Epson sheet cost me $2 while the other one was 11 cents. It's really huge difference, and I wanted to make sure that it's really worth it. On camera it's hard to see, but the top one is barely reflects light, while the bottom one is very shiny. The Epson paper has a very high quality photo texture, and the print looked more contrasty and slightly more saturated, but in shadow areas the details were lost completely. On the cheap paper everything was less contrasty, but details were much more visible. But because it reflected the environment more, it photographed badly. Overall, it's definitely not worth the price difference. Maybe Epson paper is expensive here in Kazakhstan because it's barely imported here. I could find it only on one marketplace and it was pricey. Maybe in other countries it's cheaper, but as long as I'm here, I won't use it. So I will try to order some different kinds of paper from Temu and test it. So that's basically all for my day 4. At day 5 it was Halloween, and usually in Kazakhstan people don't celebrate it, but this is my favorite holiday and I couldn't ignore it. So I invited my friends for the night of horror games at the computer club. The only suitable outfit I had was a skeleton sweater. Here I wanted to show my makeup, but instead showed my dirty mirror. One day I'll clean it, I promise. Before the PC club, my fiance and I went for a walk looking for something Halloween themed, and then we saw red lanterns. We followed the lights and ended up in a pub decorated for Halloween. We stayed there for a bit, soaked into the atmosphere, and then went to the computer club. We rented a VIP room with our own private bathroom. The only downside, the food was pretty bad. There were 4 of us, and here all the games we played for the night. I even filmed some of my reactions. I had already played everything except The War and Outlast. I liked The War so much, especially new map, but Outlast just didn't work for me. It was more stuffy and boring than scary. We left around 7 AM, sleep schedule fully destroyed. The next day was full again. I started with printing stickers and trying to laminate them because my cold lamination film finally arrived. I saw in other people's videos that they cut off the corners so the cutter reads the marks better, so I tried that. But because of those cut corners, the laminator either applied the film crooked or tore off half of it. Everything went to the trash. Here's my second attempt and more mistakes. Then I gave up on cutting corners and tried to do it normally, and turned out my cutter machine read marks perfectly, so now I don't do this anymore. Turns out not everything we see online can help everyone. I spent the whole day printing my stickers one by one and fixing colors if they were still not bright or contrasting enough. I also corrected the outlines for some of them. Sometimes the cutter didn't cut all the way through and I had to separate the stickers manually, but eventually I figured out the perfect cutting settings for me and everything started cutting beautifully. So all I had to do was print, cut, and correct colors and outlines where needed. I threw away a lot of paper, a lot of lamination film, and I spent the whole day on it, but now I'm pretty happy with the final result. Now my single stickers are exactly the quality I wanted, and they're pretty ready for my small business. By the end of the day, I had printed all my stickers with the colors and outlines I wanted, and this isn't even all of them, I had even more. As usual, we watched Stranger Things this evening, and that was it. Actually, there's nothing interesting to say about day 7. I spent the whole day drawing artwork for my character concept. I also already uploaded a speed paint of it to my channel, and that's pretty much what my entire day looked like. And that's how my vacation went. Honestly, I was extremely tired by the end of it, but I did a huge amount of work. Even if it doesn't look like it on camera, behind the scenes there was a lot of paper thrown, a lot of nerves spent, and a lot of mistakes done. But now I know how to do everything and I can finally slow down a bit. So I think we can end video here. Thanks everyone who stayed till the end. See you soon.